So this is Alexander Isak. Isak for the last 2 3 seasons, for me, he has been one of the best strikers in the Premier League. And all round, I think he's my favorite player because he can score goals, he can link up play, he can dribble, he can cross, he can take on players. I think all round he's a very good striker, and of course I felt he was a better fit for Arsenal style of play than a Liverpool style of play. But of course I knew with the likes of Salah, the likes of um, Slobo Sly, you know, um, Robertson and all these guys at Liverpool, I felt he was going to hit the ground running. But unfortunately for him, it has not been a very good start to the season for Isak. And that is down to maybe change of team, getting to know teammates, and then the manager's tactics and arrangements and substitutions and all of that on the field of play. That has already affected him, and he has played 4 matches for Liverpool this season in the Premier League, 3 from the beginning and then 1 as a substitute, and he has only contributed 1 assist. And by Isak's standard, I think that's a little bit below par. And we are not even talking about just scoring goals and providing assists here. His gameplay has not been encouraging, like to give Liverpool fans hope, to give football lovers hope and all of that. Because when I watched Isak played against Manchester United, at some point I felt he was not in the game. No impact, no nothing. I was like, he has this stature that is very similar to that of Cody Gakpo, and I was actually mistaking him at some point to Cody Gakpo because where I sat, I couldn't really, see him very well. But when I got to look like a bit closer, I discovered that Isak was non-existent. He was zero in the game. And that got me wondering why, a manager would want to keep a player that has hit the ground running, a player that has been doing well since he signed for your club, and then suddenly because you have a big money profile kind of player, or you have a player that you feel is better, has more experience in the league than the other one, and then you drop that player on the bench and then you continue to play a player that is not performing. That is the case of Isak and Ekitike. So you see, I have maximum respect for Mourinho. A lot of people condemn his style of play, condemn his antics, but I respect that man to the core. And the reason is very simple. Mourinho in his prime, was the kind of manager that he will play you regardless of whether you are not a regular in the team, whether you are a fringe player or anything. As long as you are informed, you are giving him that result, you are doing whatever he asks of you to do in the team, Mourinho was always going to play you. So Mourinho took Varane from nowhere and put him in that Madrid team ahead of Pepe. And then since then, even when other managers came in, they continued to use Varane because he was, he gained the experience and became a pillar in that Madrid team. Mourinho got to Madrid, took Sergio Ramos from a right back position and made him a steady centre back defender. And people don't give Mourinho credit for all of this, but that is Mourinho for you. Regardless of whether you're a big name, you are not a big name, as long as you are doing your job, Mourinho will always play you regardless of who is on the bench. That's what I respected Mourinho for, and I think that was a big reason for why he achieved so much in his career as a football manager. Now, how do you go from having a Ekitike that has 1 assist and 3 goals in just 7 Premier League games to dropping him on the bench and then playing a player that needs time to settle? So managers do this all the time. And Slot, for me, I think he's doing too much. Maybe he's trying to justify the fact that we bought these guys, we knew what we were getting these guys for, so he's forcing these guys down the throat of Liverpool fans, trying to make sure that these big money signings deliver by all means. I think that's the same thing at the start of the season he was doing with Florian Wirtz and Sloboslai until it didn't work, and then he had to like drop Florian Wirtz for Sloboslai for some of the games that we've seen recently. But I think he can do the same thing for Isak. Isak is a magnificent attacker, a striker that will, give you everything. I give him that. But at the moment, he's not doing so well, right? So why should you risk your job? Liverpool, for as long as I can remember now, have not lost 4 games in a row, especially losing at home to Manchester United in the manner they lost. It's not like if Manchester United had won that game with that 1-0 they scored in the first half, would have been a different ball game. I would have maybe Man U, had their chance, they took it. But for Liverpool to equalize and Manchester United come back again to win that game tells you where Liverpool are at the present. They're not really there. So now, when you have a player of this caliber, Hugo Ekitike, I think when he came on against Manchester United, he did way more in a few minutes than what Isak did in that entire time he was on the. So now, if you take a look at the player comparison now, Isak has played 4 matches, 1 as a substitute, and Hugo Ekitike has played 7. And in that 7, I think he has played like 1 or a few matches as a substitute. Now they have provided 1 assist each, 0 yellow cards, 0 red cards, and of course Isak has played 253 minutes and Hugo Ekitike has played 440 minutes. You can argue that he has played more matches, but for those of us who saw how Hugo Ekitike debuted for Liverpool, he has been a better player since that time than Isak. So why don't Arne Slot continue to play the better player at the moment, pending when the other guy is going to pick and prove that he is more deserving of the spot than Hugo Ekitike? So managers do this a lot of the times, and it gets to backfire in their face, but they keep on doing it because they want to prove a point. What point are you trying to prove when obviously everything is pointing to the fact that Hugo Ekitike at this moment is your best striker and should be starting for you? Now, look at the statistics of both players now. Isak has contributed like 1 goal. He has 1 goal involvement. Hugo Ekitike, on the other hand, has 4 goal involvement. Now, look at their expected goals. Isak 0.94 and Hugo Ekitike has like 1.99. That's like more than times 2 of what Isak is going to bring. Then they have both 1 shot inside the box, and of course outside the box Hugo Ekitike has 3 more shots. That's to tell you that Hugo Ekitike is making more attempts at goal, in order to score goals than Isak. Okay, now let's look at it now. Touches in the box, opposition box. Isak has 11 in fewer games than Hugo Ekitike, who has 19 in 3 more games. So now, you can argue this that, okay, one has played fewer games, the other has played more games, but the reality here is that there's something called eye test. And for those that have been watching these 2 players can attest that one is way better at the moment. I'm not saying Hugo Ekitike is a better player than Isak. Don't misunderstand me at this point. I'm saying at the moment, I think Hugo Ekitike is much more better at the moment than Isak and should be starting ahead of Isak, pending when Isak is going to pick up form and then he's going to win his place back for the good of the team. And that applies to Florian Wirtz and Sloboslai as well. But managers do this and they're the managers, so sometimes as fans we rant, we get angry, but they get to do whatever they want in the first place. But I feel Arne Slot is getting it wrong. Hugo Ekitike needs to get back into that team as soon as possible.